G'day guys and welcome back to your English Aussie. This is going to be a Game Week 28 rundown of all the best defenders, midfielders and forwards for you to buy, sell and hold for Game Week 28. I'll also be giving you the statistical breakdown of the XG and XA for the top 30 defenders, midfielders and forwards for you guys to screenshot, take away and look through in your own time to plan your fantasy teams. So we're going to try and make this video as quick as possible for you guys, as I know you've been liking the shorter forms, and we're going to run through straight away the best defenders to have. First up on my list is Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously with an impending blank in Game Week 29, but with Southampton in Game Week 28, he is still a key defender to have for Liverpool. Liverpool do have a really nice fixture run coming up even after Game Week 29 from a defensive standpoint, with Everton, Fulham, West Ham and Leicester from Game Weeks 30 to 33. Next up on this list is Ryan Ait-Nouri of Wolves. Wolves just have a magnificent fixture run from Game Week 28 all the way to Game Week 34, especially from a defensive standpoint. They do not blank in Game Week 29, so you will be able to manage your way through with a Wolves defender if you are not planning to free hit in that game week. We have obviously just seen the CUNHA sending off in the FA Cup in midweek. I'm sure that will impact Wolves from a forward standpoint. However, expect them to try and line up slightly more defensively solid, given that their main goal scorer will be banned for 3 games minimum at the moment. Those are my two tier 1 buy defenders. Onto the tier 2. I think Ibrahima Konate, again of Liverpool, but just doesn't quite have the same attacking threat that Trent has, but he is someone nice at that cheaper price point if you don't perhaps have the budget to go up to someone like a Trent that you can look to put in your team, given Liverpool have been one of the most defensively solid teams so far this season. Also in that tier 2 buy category is Josko Gvardiol of Manchester City. He has been playing in that left back role. He has been maraudering forwards a little bit more in that role than he has done earlier season. Some of the tactical tweaks that Guardiola's brought in more recently, with the addition of a more solid defensive midfielder and changing things up around the midfield, has allowed Guardiola to get into more forward positions. And therefore I think he is nice from an attacking perspective. Manchester City do also have no blank game week in 29 and some really nice fixtures from a defensive standpoint from game week 30 all the way through to game week 36, with Leicester, Man United, Crystal Palace, Everton, Villa, Wolves and Southampton all in that run of fixtures. In the sell category, we do still have Lewis Hall. I think it's time to get rid of him if you are a owner at the moment. He will be blanking in game week 29. Newcastle do, of course, have West Ham this week. However, I would look to remove him if you are not planning on free hitting in game week 29. In the hold section, we still do have the same holds from previous week. We have Milenkovic, Munoz, Robinson and Mikalenko, also with Kirker/Hodgson of Bournemouth. Nothing has changed in these regards. I think if you do hold any of these players, I would just hang on to them. Obviously, potentially you might have to move Munoz out in 29 given that Crystal Palace blank, but I think their fixtures are so nice either side of that blank that it's worth holding on to him now for the Ipswich and Southampton game either side of that blank. Into the midfield, and we do have Mo Salah and Cole Palmer at the top of our list. And guys, just a quick shout out, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, if you haven't liked this video, please give a subscribe, please like the video. We're really trying to grow, push towards 1,500 subscribers so far this year. And I appreciate every single one of you that can do that. It's just a small thing for you guys, but it really helps push this video out to more people and help this channel grow. So thank you so much. If you can, just take a minute out of your time to do that. Continuing on with the video, and in that tier 2 buy section, we do have Justin Kluivert. I think he's a really nice cut price option at 6.1 million for Bournemouth. Fantastic finishing, great. He's just got a great strike on that left foot. Bournemouth have some nice fixtures coming up from an attacking standpoint, all the way through really to game week 33-34. Next in this list in the tier 2 buys is Brian Mbeumo. You'll notice that Dango Ouattara has come out of this tier 2 buy list this week. That is because Evan Nilsson has come back into the frame for Bournemouth, and he may potentially be taking minutes off Dango. Evan Nilsson started up front in the FA Cup in midweek, and Dango was benched. We weren't given any reasons as to Kluivert's whereabouts, but perhaps it was just a rest, and we'll look for the press conferences before game week 28 to see whether he'll be back. Brian Mbeumo next on the list. I think fantastic quality in that Brentford side, good statistics, tactically playing 90 minutes in a very attacking role, quite a key role for Brentford. He's been in really good form lately, and Brentford do have some nice fixtures over the next couple of game weeks, and not blanking in game week 29, all importantly. Moving on, and we do have Pedro Neto, a recent new addition into the tier 2 buy list from Chelsea. He obviously is starting to play in that false 9 role for Chelsea, and could be a really efficient way into that Chelsea midfield. They obviously come up against Leicester this week in game week 28, and also another team that don't blank in 29, despite taking on Arsenal. After that, they do have Tottenham, Brentford and Ipswich, which are all nice game weeks from an attacking perspective. Next up on the list is Anthony Elanga. I think he could be a real differential pick for you guys. If you are looking at someone that's a little bit cut price, that not a lot of people own in their team, and a way to sort of gain rank on maybe your mini league rivals, or potentially in that sort of top 100k bracket, I think Anthony Elanga is a really nice cheap cut price option. His sort of expected goals and assists has been slowly rising over the last 4 or 5 games, as he has been sort of taking in that 3-5-2 role in the second striker role alongside Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest. He could play a really pivotal role against Manchester City in 28 on the counter-attack against them with their struggles they've had in transition, and going forwards their fixture run is magnificent from 29 all the way really through to game week 37, and definitely someone that I look to be bringing into the team. Alongside him is Morgan Gibbs-White in Nottingham Forest for similar reasons. In the tier 3 buy section, we do have Jared Bowen still for West Ham. Just a nice little differential. He always has the possibility to haul. West Ham's fixtures are okay, but not fantastic. But Bowen is a nice asset regardless. Another option for you is Christopher Nkunku. However, we did see him move out to the left wing role for Chelsea last week, as Pedro Neto played in the centre forward role. I think Maresca liked Neto there, as he was speaking about. Neto has that ability to really run in behind the defence and use his pace, which they tried in Kunku and Palmer and it didn't really work. So expect Neto to be playing in that sort of number 9 role again next week for Chelsea. Phil Foden is next up for Manchester City. Obviously City with a nice run of fixtures coming up, not blanking game week 29. However, Phil Foden has been being rotated in recent weeks for Man City, and that has seen him pushed down into my tier 3 category. He obviously can give great attacking returns when he's playing, but I think this sort of pep roulette in the midfield is really difficult to pick at the moment, and therefore he does slide down a little bit for me. Finally, we've got Bruno Fernandes, really just in this because he is a penalty taker. Man United, very unpredictable at this moment. Into the forward lineup, and you'll see my tier 1 buys have expanded this week. I don't think there's a clear-cut favourite. Alexander Isak still is on there for me. I would keep him either side of that blank in game week 29. They do have West Ham this week and Brentford in game week 30. Isak did come back and play in the FA Cup this week. He did go off towards the end of the game, which looked like a slight knock, but because there is a week to recover in between, look out for the press conferences. I'm expecting him to be available again for Newcastle. Next up on the list, Marmoush and Haaland for Manchester City. I think some really nice differential picks. If you can stretch up to Erling Haaland, perhaps he's the way to go. If you can't, maybe Marmoush is looking nice for this Manchester City fixture run. Next up, Chris Wood. He is just the GOAT of FPL, need I say more. Magic, always scoring goals, and with a couple of big strikers missing now through injury and suspension, I can't see a reason why you get rid of Chris Wood. And finally, a bit of a niche pick is Evanilson of Bournemouth. He recently came back into that Bournemouth lineup for the FA Cup, playing up front, and really does look like he could be a really nice pick over the next 4, 5, 6 game weeks for Bournemouth, with Tottenham, Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Man United leading into game week 34, with currently no blanks, but a potential maybe in 34 if they do reach the FA Cup semi-final, beating Manchester City in the quarters. In the tier 2 section is Johan Wissa. We've spoken about him recently, and I still think he's an excellent option. In the sell category, we have Nicholas Jackson, Matheus Cunha, and Ndiaye. Nicholas Jackson, obviously through injury for the next sort of 6 weeks, will be out, as is Ndiaye, currently injured. Matheus Cunha in the FA Cup this week managed to throw a punch, a headbutt, and a kick all at Milos Kerkez right in the 120th minute of that FA Cup final, or late on into extra time, getting himself sent off. A minimum 3-match ban, and I think it may be looked at retrospectively for an additional ban. We will have to wait and see on that, but he is definitely a sell if you have him in your team and you were unfortunate enough to bring him in last week for what is a magnificent Wolves fixture run that he'll be missing. In the hold section, I think if you have any of these guys, just hang on to them for game week 28, or at least hang on to them until we hear back in the press conference on their availability. That is Cody Gakpo, João Pedro, Jimenez, and Jean-Philippe Mateta, who suffered a nasty ear injury, got kicked in the head in the Palace Millwall FA Cup game, had 25 stitches to his ear, and potentially could be missing this game week for Palace. Let's wait and see for the press conference. Given that it's an ear injury, there is a potential that he could be available for game week 28, and with Palace set to play Ipswich, he could be someone that maybe you want to hold on to before he blanks in 29. Let's wait and see for the press conferences. For the other guys, Gakpo obviously fit again. Let's wait and see to hear if there's any news on him starting after the PSG midweek game. João Pedro's looking back to form again. Another person I'll call out a little bit later is Danny Welbeck. And Raul Jimenez is just a hold for me, although Rodrigo Muniz does look like he's taking a few minutes off him at the moment. Moving straight on to our statistical analysis. Now guys, feel free to screenshot this, keep this for your own sort of viewing to help you choose your defenders and your team going forwards. I will of course talk you through maybe my favourite picks here, and of course another reminder, just if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked this video yet, please just click that like button, click that subscribe if you can. It really makes a huge difference to me and my channel, and really helps me keep going with these videos every week as we draw closer and closer to the end and the crunch time in this season. So on the list, I think the two key guys here that we talked about is Trent and Rayan Nouri. You can see Daniel Munoz obviously up there with very high expected goals and assists, and Tariq Mitchell also at Crystal Palace up there on 0.25. Those numbers a little bit skewed by some very big chances that he had in Palace's previous match. Joshua Gvardio up there, quite high on the list for defenders. Luca Dean and Lewis Hall for me, given their blanking in game week 29, is not somebody that I would consider, especially with the fixture runs that they do have over the next 4 weeks. A couple of other oranges are just those players that I did call out earlier in the buy, sell, hold for you guys. Moving into the midfield, obviously the top 2 main guys are still Mo Salah and Cole Palmer. We've got some other sort of talking points in here. Dango Atara, of course, being benched midweek for the FA Cup with Evanilson returning early for injury. He could be an issue and potentially be on the bench for longer for Bournemouth. So look out for that if you do have him in your team. I'd probably just hold on to him if he's not a crucial transfer out and you can afford to bench him over the next couple of weeks, and maybe make your transfers elsewhere. Yakuba Minter of Brighton, for me, fantastic expected goals and assists. However, I do find that his end product is sometimes lacking, and so for me, he's just somebody that, despite that high expected goals and assists, perhaps doesn't always match that with results. As you can see, although he's up that high, he's one of the players who have sort of the lower goals and assists out of those people in that sort of top echelon. Antoine Semenyo, similar case for me. I don't think he's a very good finisher, and despite his higher expected goals and assists, I much prefer Justin Kluivert a little bit lower down at 0.43 non-penalty expected goals and assists, given that Kluivert is also on penalties for Bournemouth. I think he is a nicer option for me. Anthony Gordon got sent off for Newcastle midweek, and somebody that I'd be looking to get rid of from the team, and Mitoma with a potential injury. That rounds out the midfielders. Remember to screenshot and take that in your own time. Here are the forwards for you. Leading the list is Erling Haaland, Alexander Isak, Johan Wissa, all probably really nice options so far for you. I do have Omar Mamouche on the right hand side. He didn't quite have enough minutes to fit into that team, into this list for me on stats, but he is at 0.41 expected goals and assists. That rounds out the video for you. I tried to keep that inside 20 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remember to give this a like, subscribe to the channel, really helps the video. Appreciate, of course, all of you watching these videos to the end. Even if you're leaving them on in the background, this all helps our algorithm push the video out to more people, all helps those sort of watch hours go up on the video. So thank you very much, everyone that's watched this to the end. We will probably be doing some sort of tactical analysis during the week. And of course be doing the deadline stream on Saturday, where we'll have all the press conference updates for you. We will be doing team reviews for your team, so if you give us your sort of team ID, happy to run through future transfer plans, chip strategy, etc. with you guys. And potentially, although I don't think too much has changed given this midweek games, I might upload a new chip strategy update coming soon for you guys if you are interested in that. Comment below in the comments if any of that interests you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. This has been your English Aussie. Have a great week, everyone, and catch you later.